All right, take a moment right now and just look around you. Really observe. What do you actually see? Some things might be moving, maybe growing, maybe even breathing, while other stuff is just sitting there, totally still. So think about it. What really makes something alive? Is that difference always, like, super clear, or does it sometimes get a little fuzzy? Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to help you get informed, find some surprising facts, and maybe even have a bit of fun along the way. Today, we're diving deep into a question that sounds simple at first, but wow, it gets complicated fast. What truly separates the living from the non-living? Our mission, as always, is to pull out the key ideas from our sources, help you see where the lines are drawn, and maybe, more importantly, where they get kind of blurry and interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those really fundamental questions in science, isn't it? Something you feel like you just know.
Mm,
But then you start poking at it, and the whole world of living things, and even non-living things, it just reveals all this amazing complexity. Really makes you think.
totally. And that's what we love to do here. So let's jump right in. When we talk about living things, scientists have a word for them: organisms. And these organisms aren't just, hanging out. They're all incredibly busy doing a specific set of things that really define what life is. Yeah, our sources really stress this: to be seen as alive, an organism has to consistently do certain things. Like a checklist. Every living thing, from a tiny microbe to a huge whale, has to tick off these boxes.
That's a really good way to think about it. And these aren't just random actions, right? They're the core functions. They keep an organism going, growing, and reacting to its world. So let's look at the 7 key characteristics scientists often use. It's a solid framework that covers all those basic life processes. Okay, first one, nutrition. And this isn't just like eating pizza. It's the whole process of getting and using energy and materials. Could be a plant soaking up sunlight through photosynthesis, or, yeah, you having lunch. It's about getting the fuel.
Right, fuel. Which leads straight to number 2, respiration. And this is key. Respiration isn't just breathing in and out. Not always, anyway. It's the deeper cellular thing where organisms unlock the energy stored in their food so they can, well, do everything else, build stuff, move around. It's like burning the fuel you just got.
Precisely. Good analogy. Okay, next up, movement. And this can be subtle. We think of a cheetah running, obviously, but movement also includes a plant turning its leaves slowly towards the sun, or even cells moving around inside your body. It's about changing position or location, the whole thing, or just parts of it.
Okay, got it. Then number 4 is excretion. Life's kind of messy, right?
Hmm.
When organisms use energy and build things, they make waste. So excretion is just the vital process of getting that waste out, like taking out the trash for the body.
Exactly. You got to keep things clean inside. If waste builds up, everything grinds to a halt. And then, of course, growth and development. Super important. Life isn't static. From a tiny seed or a single egg cell, it's always a process of getting bigger. That's growth and changing, becoming more complex over time. That's development. We all started small, didn't we?
We certainly did. Okay, number 6, and this is a huge one for, well, life continuing at all: reproduction. This is the drive to make new individuals, keep the species going. Could be as simple as one cell splitting in two, or, all the complex ways animals find mates.
Yep. Essential. And finally, number 7, sensitivity. Or you might hear it called response to stimuli. This is just the ability an organism has to notice changes around it and react. Super important for survival. It's pulling your hand from a hot pan, sure, but it's also a plant sensing light, or a tiny bacterium sensing food and swimming towards it.
Wow. Okay, so those 7 things together, they give us a pretty solid biological definition of life, right? Capturing how life is always interacting with its surroundings. But here's where it gets really interesting and maybe a bit confusing. Thinking about these 7 characteristics, what about something like a virus? Do viruses actually tick all those boxes? I want you, listening right now, to actually pause for a second, think. Do they take in nutrients? Do they move by themselves? Do they grow? You might be surprised. We'll definitely come back to that one. Okay, so if that's what living means, what about the other side of the coin? What makes something non-living?
Well, the simple answer is non-living things just don't do any of those 7 life processes we just ran through. They don't have metabolism, they don't grow or develop in that biological way, they definitely don't reproduce themselves, and they don't respond to things like organisms do.
And we can kind of split them into 2 main types, can't we? There are the natural non-living things like water, rocks, the air we're breathing, stuff that was never alive. And then there's man-made non-living things: plastics, your phone, the chair you might be on, my microphone here.
Right. But here's a really cool twist our sources point out. Some non-living things can look surprisingly alive sometimes. Think about a big bonfire. It moves, right? It eats wood, it grows bigger, it even seems to reproduce by spreading sparks. Or crystals, you can see them grow bigger if the conditions are right.
Yeah, it's easy to get fooled, isn't it? My first instinct with fire is, whoa, look at it go, it's alive. But why isn't it? Why aren't they really alive?
Good question. Because while fire moves and uses fuel, it's not reproducing biologically. It's a chemical reaction, not cells making copies. It doesn't keep a stable internal state, no genetic code, none of that organized complexity. And crystals, they grow by just adding more identical bits onto the outside, like stacking Legos, kinda. They don't metabolize energy from food or respond to stimuli in that coordinated living way. They just lack the whole package, the internal machinery, the blueprint, all 7 characteristics working together.
That makes so much sense. It really shows why that checklist is so crucial, doesn't it? You got to look past just one or two things that seem lifelike. Okay, quick comparison for everyone listening. Let's make it crystal clear. A big oak tree, living. Photosynthesis, growth, reproduction, responds to seasons. Check, check. A rock next to it. Non-living, just sits there. No life process is happening. Your dog wagging its tail. Definitely living. Moving, breathing, eating, barking at squirrels, the couch it's sleeping on. Non-living. Man-made, comfy, but definitely not alive. Okay, challenge time again. And these are like classic head scratchers. Even scientists debate these sometimes, informally at least. Where would you put a virus? We touched on it, but where do you lean now? What about a seed, like a sunflower seed in a packet? Or even a complex robot? Really think about those 7 characteristics for each one. Pause and take a guess. We'll get to the answers later. Okay, so we started sorting things out. Living, non-living. But how does this all actually work together out there? In tall like a forest or a pond?
Yeah, this brings us to a really key idea for understanding, well, pretty much any environment on Earth. It's the concept of biotic and abiotic factors in an ecosystem. Sounds a bit sciencey, but it's actually super straightforward and really useful.
Okay, break it down. Biotic.
Biotic just means all the living parts. Think bio, like in biology life. So all the plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, anything that's alive.
Got it. And abiotic.
That's all the non-living parts. The A basically means not, so not living, easy peasy.
Okay, so let's picture that park again. The biotic bits are easy.
Exactly. The trees, the grass, squirrels, birds, insects, maybe some mushrooms on a log. And don't forget the invisible stuff. Microbes in the soil, tiny worms. They're all biotic all along.
Right. So what are the abiotic things in that same park?
That'd be things like the sunlight hitting the ground, the soil itself, the minerals and texture, the air, the water in a puddle or stream, the temperature, all non-living, but absolutely essential for the living things there.
Okay, so connecting this to the bigger picture. These abiotic things aren't just like stage decorations, are they?
Not at all. They actively shape the whole ecosystem. They're the foundation. Think about sunlight again. It's not just nice lighting. It's the actual energy source driving photosynthesis in plants. That's the base of most food chains.
Mm-hmm.
Or water. How much water is available completely dictates what kinds of plants can survive there. And that determines which animals can live there too.
So abiotic factors kind of set the rules for life in a particular place.
They really do. Without the right abiotic conditions, temperature, water, light, nutrients in the soil, life just can't take hold or thrive.
So let's nail this down. Why are these non-living abiotic things so incredibly important? It seems obvious, but maybe it's too obvious sometimes.
Well, they provide the absolute essentials. Plants need sunlight for energy, water to live, carbon dioxide from the air, minerals from the soil, just to exist. Animals need oxygen from the air to breathe, often shelter from non-living things like rocks or burrows in the earth, and they need the temperature to be in a range they can handle. Without these basic non-living inputs, the right environment, the raw materials, the energy source, the whole living system, the food chains, everything just collapses.
They really are the stage and the building block.
Perfectly put.
Okay, so thinking about that, what does this mean for different places on Earth? Here's a little thought experiment for you listening. How would life in a really hot, dry desert be different from life in a super wet, humid rainforest? Think about the living things in each, sure, but focus on how those non-living factors, water, temperature, sunlight, totally shape their entire way of life. It's like 2 different planets almost. The adaptations are just incredible. All right, time to see what's snuck. Let's do a quick quiz. We'll throw out some examples. You decide. Living, non-living, or maybe borderline. Just a quick gut check based on those 7 characteristics. Ready? Okay, first one. A fish swimming in a tank. Living, non-living, or borderline. Pause. Right next. The sun. Living, non-living, or borderline. Pause. How about our favorite puzzle? A virus? Living, non-living, or borderline. Pause.
Yeah.
Okay, what about a mushroom growing on a lawn? Living, non-living, or borderline. Pause. That flickering, consuming fire. Living, non-living, or borderline. Pause. And last one. A dormant seed in a packet. Living, non-living, or borderline.
Okay, how did you do? Some are easier than others, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fish and the mushroom. Definitely living. They tick all the boxes. Nutrition, respiration, growth, reproduction, the whole lot. The sun, clearly non-living. It's this incredible powerhouse of energy, yes, but it's physics and chemistry, not biology. No cells, no reproduction in that sense. But which ones tripped you up? I bet it was those borderline cases. They always make you pause and really think about the definitions, don't they?
Yeah, let's quickly unpack those trickier ones again. Virus, fire, seed, maybe robot too.
Absolutely. So the virus, classic borderline example. Why? Well, it had genetic material, like DNA or RNA,
Mm-hmm.
and it can definitely evolve over time. Big tick for life there. But
Mm-hmm.
it absolutely cannot reproduce or metabolize on its own. It has to hijack a living cell to make copies of itself. It's like inert until it finds a host. So it doesn't quite meet all 7 criteria independently. Is it just complex chemistry?
Yeah.
Or the very edge of life? Biologists still debate the finer points.
Okay, and fire, we mentioned it, but let's lock it down. Why non-living?
Right. Fire moves, it consumes fuel, it seems to grow and spread, but fundamentally it's a chemical reaction combustion. It's releasing energy rapidly. It doesn't have cells, no genetic blueprint, no way to maintain a stable internal state like an organism. It just burns until the fuel or oxygen runs out. Definitely non-living.
And the seed, it feels so alive, or like it's about to be.
Exactly. A seed is often called borderline, or maybe a better term is dormant living. Inside, it has a tiny embryo, a little undeveloped plant, plus stored food. It's got the genetic instructions for life. But it's not actively doing all 7 life processes. Not until conditions are right, water, warmth, light, then it germinates and starts growing. So it's like life paused, waiting for the right moment.
And the robot. What about that one from our earlier challenge?
Ah, the robot. Fascinating, especially as they get more complex. A robot might move, react to sensors, maybe even learn in a way, but it doesn't have biological cells. It doesn't have DNA in the biological sense. It can't reproduce biologically or carry out metabolism like an organism. Even sophisticated AI runs on code and hardware, not those core biological life processes.
Yeah.
They can simulate aspects of life brilliantly, but they don't embody life as biology defines it. Well, not yet, anyway. Who knows about the future?
Man, what a journey. We really covered a lot today, haven't we? From those 7 key things that show I'm alive, like getting energy, growing, reproducing, reacting to the pretty clear-cut, non-living stuff. And then those really cool kind of mind-bending borderline cases like viruses and seeds that make you think hard.
And we also saw how incredibly linked everything is. The living biotic parts of an ecosystem and the non-living abiotic parts. They're not separate categories just sitting there. They're constantly interacting, shaping each other. You can't understand one without the other.
Totally. It really makes you appreciate how delicate and interconnected everything is, you know, the balance of it all. So here's a final thought for you to chew on as you go about your day. What would actually happen if just one really important non-living thing vanished from an environment you know? Like, poof, no more water in that park pond. Or imagine if sunlight just stopped reaching that forest floor. How would everything cascade? What would it really mean for all the life there?
The heavy question, but a good one. It really underscores how vital every piece, living or non-living, truly is.
Well, we hope this deep dive gave you some fresh ways to look at the world around you. Keep asking questions, keep observing. There's amazing stuff everywhere. Until next time, keep exploring.